Great. So I want each one of you to give me one word that you think associates with speech evaluation. What do you think about speech evaluation? Whatever comes to your mind, just speak it out. Start with Shika. Sony, yeah.
So content of the speech.
Great. Shika,
Evaluation, I would refer to review, like whatever speech is given to review the speech.
one word, just
Review.
Gayatri. Gayatri.
Delivery.
Anirudh,
Measure.
Siddiq,
I would say voice modulation.
Ajit,
Genuine feedback.
Ronak,
So I think delivery.
and Shuman.
So the pauses in between.
Pawan,
So I would say grammar.
Narendra, Suneha,
Yes, I would say delivery and structuredness.
Riharsha,
Sir, I would say mutual learning.
okay. So what is, and I'll come to each of that. So what is your expectation from this session?
I think to really understand how to evaluate a speech, what feedbacks to be given, and what constructive and both feedbacks, like good ones and the bad ones.
Okay, great.
From my side, it would be how to structure the speech evaluation, like for while delivering it. Yeah.
From my side, it would be what exactly the points you have to look for while evaluating, which you stress for and which not to.
Are you able to see my screen? For some reason, it didn't allow me to share PowerPoint. Okay. Now, let's look at the agenda. I'll come to everything that discussed today, but let's look at agenda. Is we are going to talk about evaluation basics and essentials. What is evaluation at a contest, judging, and then mock contest that we are going to have. Let's start with Toastmasters Promise. We do make a promise, isn't it, as a Toastmaster? To prepare for and fulfill meeting assignment, to prepare. To provide is provide again. Provide is the keyword. Fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluation. This is a promise that we are making, right? And the preparation is compulsory. We go back again to the first statement. Now coming to third, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all the members to learn and grow. So remember, evaluation is not a place where you're going to take your revenge. You're helping your fellow Toastmasters in a friendly way with a positive feedback. Now, if you talk about evaluation, it is more like it is a true intuitive expertise where you're giving feedback and not just aligning on the mistakes, but also on positive side, how they have done, right? If you look at the statement here, where Daniel Kahneman says, true intuitive expertise is learned from prolonged experience with good feedbacks on mistakes. How we do put that feedback on their mistake matters a lot. Now, what is expected from you as an evaluator? First, you have to be empathetic. You have to understand what a speaker goes through. How many, can I look at camera and see how many of you go through butterflies before giving speech? How many have you butterflies in your stomach just before giving speech? I do go through that. Thank you. So you need to understand every speaker goes through that stage of going through butterflies. You have to empathize with them. Second, you have to listen to their speeches properly. Active listening is very necessary. For example, I gave a speech on Madrasi topic. The topic was talking about how Madrasi as a racial slur has affected my life when I lived in North India and all my childhood. The evaluator, after I finished my speech, what she gave was that I didn't talk about those good points about the Madrasi community, while my whole point was that we are all Indians and there is no Madrasi, there is no Padosi, there is everything. It all just we are all Indians. But then she forgot the main part of the speech. She didn't listen to it. That I was irritated that day. Second thing, I did make proper connects in one of the speech, and then evaluator said I didn't connect those parts of. So that also I felt bad about it. So think of it. If you're not listening properly and just giving generic feedback, it doesn't help. And next, problem identifier is where do you think the problem is? You can what specific that helps in Toastmasters. Why do we boast about program is that specific feedback. In every part of your life, you are judged, isn't it? It is just in Toastmasters where you are not judged and you are given feedback. Where did you go wrong and how we can help you? For example, let us say, so somebody voice modulation was not proper. You cannot just say your voice modulation was not right. Be specific. While talking about your voice depth, I felt you were apathetic. If you could have used little voice modulation, it would have helped us to understand. You see, the specific problem identifying and giving them suggestion. Now, solution oriented something. When you give a problem, give a solution to it. That is the effective evaluation. Just don't tell anything. Okay. Knowledgeable. Show that you have knowledge on that, anything that you are telling, and then tell them how they can improve on that. Now, evaluation essentials. So, how many of you, when you are going to evaluate someone, you go and then try to read a project or evaluation sheet before the meeting? Can you raise your hand? Do you do training? Okay, I'll give an example. I was evaluating one project, my first time in my life. I did thorough training of that project. It was an elective. It was an elective from level 4. What helped me thoroughly was to, when I did thorough training and I went there, I was able to give specific and very clear feedback. The first time in my life where I felt that I could give proper feedback in my evaluation. So always understand when you're giving feedback or evaluation in a meeting, before that, first thing is read your project. Go through the training necessary. Second is read the evaluation guide. We'll go through that. What does evaluation guide talk about? And then talk to the speaker. Talk to the speaker. Why? Because you should understand this is a practice that happens at least in international clubs. In India, very few follow it. One thing is this is very necessary when you talk to the speaker and ask what is the specifics that they are looking. For example, let us say I'm trying to look at the clarity in my language. That's something that I'm trying to improve right upon. When I talk to international audience or audience from different regions in India, my main point is that whatever I talk should be clear to others, right? And second thing, it might be that audience connect. Somebody might have problem with eye contact. Somebody might problem have with hand gestures, body language, etc. So talk to them. Get those specific points, what they are looking for you to concentrate upon, and then use that as a parameter in your evaluation. Now, we are coming to evaluation form. If you see any evaluation form has some specific things. This is more like your member name and the evaluator and the speech title. This is the section that is required by your VP education. But when you come to next step, the purpose statement, there are two things. Purpose statement is for the project, purpose statement for the speech. You must understand that why they are different. Why? For example, let us say there's a project, understand your leadership style. It talks about that the person must learn about different style of leadership. At the same time, when the speech is about, when they talk about leadership style and their own leadership style and its effect on others, that is a speech objective. Okay. If you look at here, inspire your audience, the purpose statement is for the member to practice writing and delivering a speech that inspire others. And the purpose of the speech is to inspire the audience. There are two specific things. Okay. And why do you need both? Because there are some level 4, level 3, level 4, level 5 are more activity-based projects. Now, if you don't understand the activity done, then you won't be able to do the proper justification to evaluation. So you must understand. For example, let us say manage projects successfully. If you don't know what are the different steps required in that managed projects, you will not be able to justify evaluation. Okay, and then the notes to evaluator. Here, understand that the member needs to prepare specific that's inspired for the audience, that should be engaging, and also he should be aware of the audience type. Okay, and he can choose any type, but it should fulfill the goal to inspire the audience. These are the notes that you should look at before you start writing the evaluation. Then you also have to look at this criteria. It is more based upon the speech that you are evaluating. For example, in this, clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, audience awareness, comfort, interest in the sense, are they able to derive the interest in the audience and speech content? Now, don't you think we covered everything that you all talked about? So they all integrated forms your evaluation, right? Now, for any speech evaluation, when you're taking notes, this is the best practice that I do is I write down everything in a notepad, or maybe I have a notebook, divide it into half, positives and negatives. And how do you do that? Is first maybe your eye contact, maybe the way that they are doing their voice modulation, maybe it's about their body language, or the ability to connect with people. So categorize them positive and negative. So divide that into two sections. Okay. And now when you use that, so the best that we have, that the two main methods that are used for your evaluation is CRC, recommendations or commendations. It's more like sandwich approach, where you have two slices of bread and the curry inside. Okay, it's just to make the person feel good, just like the way that your boss says, okay, it's all about your year-end discussions with your boss or your discussion with your professor and everything. They start talking about good things, but then in the between they talk about what all you went bad, and then they again start talking about other commendation that you are doing well. Overall, things went well, something like that. Okay. Now, so commendations give at least 3, and then recommendations at least 2. When you say recommendations, there is something that you need to understand, but we'll come to that later. And then commendations, you can give 2. Again, first 3 that you're giving should be the best things. I saw that you are comfortable with the audience, just as cool as cucumber. Your eye contact was so good. But then again, your entire evaluation cannot be about body language. 1 point about body language, 1 point about content structuring, and 1 point may be about the objectives. Try to dissimulate that into parts. Just don't talk about one thing, eye contact, body language, and your audience comfort. If you put those 2 points, you are not making your impression as an evaluator. Okay. Now, one thing that you have to remember is that many people, they start evaluating the speaker. No, it's not the way. You are a great speaker, I know, but I am feeling difficult in evaluating your speech. This is the trap that we all fell into. Even I. Yesterday, I was evaluating speech of Dr. Benjamin Bio, which was 2024 WCF finalist. Even I was nervous, but then I tried my best not to use this statement. You are a very good speaker, but I'm trying my best. This is not the way that you should use. And you should evaluate that speech. If you remember from your intermediate, if you were in BPC section, where you have to dissect and then remove that parts and do it, that's exactly that you do here. You will analyze it. Remember, any good speaker, any best speaker, are even at the WCPS World Championship, even they can do mistakes, especially the way that thing can go wrong at the stage is one thing is objectives. Second is structuring of the speech, especially between the body, the transition. So maybe try to concentrate upon that. Now, when you are trying to evaluate, remember it is to motivate, not to demotivate. Somebody comes and says, I saw that you're reading your speech. You are not a detective here. And don't try to be a detective. Just say, even if the person is reading, your eye contact was not at the level. Or maybe just try to say, because your eyes were moving in this direction, you were not able to make an eye contact. Something like that. Okay. And second thing is, just don't accuse them of something. They are mugging up anything. Just try to put that in a very sweet. The words should be that soothing and same time encouraging. Remember, you are evaluating to motivate, not to demotivate. Now, to summarize what we talked about this technique is, now there are 3 parts of your technique as commendations, recommendations, and commendations for CRC methodology. There's one more method that we generally use in contest, CRS, commendations, recommendation, summary. I will come to it later part. And then we are going to evaluate a speech, not the speaker. You should be very clear on that. Most of the people fall in this trap. So try not to fall. And you are evaluating to motivate, not to demotivate. I was a test speaker in one of the contests at division level. Now, 3 to 4 people were just telling that I was reading coming to this level, but I was trying to make an attempt there to make, and then those people failed to understand while other people were able to. So that is not the way you tell that you're trying to read because you come here. No, try to be more attentive and don't give generic feedback. Same thing that we have talked about so far. Now, what should be evaluated? What can be evaluated? Here, one thing is whether the purpose of the speech was met or not. The same thing that we looked in the evaluation sheet. Second thing, structure of the speech. What is the structure of the speech? Generic structure of a speech is opening, body, and then closing. What is opening? When you are trying to open any speech, is you are giving a statement, a story, or anything that you're trying to connect to your main part. The meat of your burger or your speech is your body. Are you able to connect to it or not? Then you're closing. Are you able to summarize what you're told, and are you able to give something as a takeaway for the audience? This is very necessary. Trust me. If you're talking about everything on the head, but you are not able to give me something that I have to take back, then your entire speech is a failure. So you need to talk about that structure of the speech. And then body. See, remember, when we give a speech, we are talking and people have to imagine that in their mind. It's not a TV show, it's not a movie. So it cannot be that you just move your transition. The transition has to be very clean. You can talk about those transitions there. So the structure of speech is your opening, body, and the transition in your body, and then closing. So talk about that. Next is the body language. My hand gestures, the way that I move, the way that I'm able to enact, all that stuff comes here. Next is vocal variety. Am I able to use voice modulation to enhance what I'm trying to tell? Yesterday, it was a very sad day. We lost this person. You know what? This has happened in my life. You see, this is vocal variety. And this enhances the message. So try to concentrate on that as well. Next is use of language. Some people are so good at grammar. I've seen that they use the words in a flowery language. Some use descriptive language so that that moment you are reliving what the person is talking about. Yesterday, I was listening to a speech at Maldives. This person talked about each situation and that she was able to describe that moment. For example, then when she talked about a discussion with her son, she picturized everything there. Are they able to use the language? Okay. And next is message. Are they able to deliver the message that is required? You see, the message as part of the conclusion is very important. Next is use of visualize. Somebody using the PowerPoint presentation, somebody using a video or anything that enhances their speech. For example, the usual thing that we see in your speeches at club level is your L1, P3, research and present, where people give the presentation, right? Now, next, these are the Toastmaster trope that you should avoid at any cost. You drew me in your speech, you know, you are so great at speech. No, that's not what we are trying to convey. Don't go and just use some superlatives there. And then next, you use the stage, especially when people ask, stand up and speak in Zoom. No, you are not going to tell people that they're going to stand up, they're going to the way that you, because this is Zoom platform. Don't talk about all that stuff. When if the same feedback if you're given when they were giving in a physical location, that would have made more sense, but not on a Zoom platform. So everybody will not be appreciating if you're giving this feedback. So remember to not to use this superlative. Next is empty. Oh, you are so great in your speech. Wow, I found a WCPS champion in your speech. No, that's not supposed to be there. And then something that I've seen some people doing it, you summarize, you talk about all that summary of the speech. Exactly, I've seen an evaluator who talk 3 minutes completely on summarizing the speech. No, that's not, you are not going to summarize. How do you do is that you, when you start evaluating, is first try to connect with the speaker and then speech. But that should not be more than 30 seconds. First connect with the speech, then connect with the speaker and talk your, the best evaluation I found is connecting with speaker and then connecting with a speech and then talk about your personal experience, how you connect back to it. Then go into your evaluation. Maybe you can even explain the technique that you are going to use to evaluate and then talk about it. Now, let's talk about context now, or let us take a break in between and try to understand what you got so far. Are you able to understand what we went through, or is just that I'm blabbering here and then you're just looking at it or hearing?
No, completely understandable. You have presented it very succinctly. So,
Great. So what did you all understand so far about evaluating a speech? Let's, I think even if the session extends a bit, let's try to understand so what you got so far. The whole intention was to help you to evaluate the speeches better. Okay. So now let's start with each person. What did you understand? Or what did you find that you are doing a mistake and now you understand that you can do it better? Let's start with Savani.
So, for evaluating speech, the thing that I found that first we need to connect to the speaker, and then also actually I haven't yet started evaluating speech. I'm quite new to Toastmasters, so I whenever I will evaluate this, the things that I will have to remember is that first we should understand about the project in which the speaker is delivering the speech, then also about the go through the evaluation guides, and we need to connect to the speaker, and evaluation means the different means how to give positive feedback, means those
Okay, how to give positive feedback. Now let's try to make it concise so that we give more time and then resume the session. Okay, this is another, what do you say, a practice of your evaluation. So Anirudh.
yes. So, firstly, I've understood what not to do while giving the evaluation. Some of the practices that were already followed is to not ask people to stand up in the Zoom platform, not trying to summarize the speech, and not trying to judge the speaker rather than giving feedback from the speech itself. So these were the practices that were already being followed by me and my fellow Toastmasters in the Toastmasters Club of Nashik.
Great.
Superlative feedbacks, and this is something that we would keep in mind and we would try to avoid it in the future evaluation as well. So that was important. Thank you.
Great. Shika.
Sir, I think same what Anirudh said, like I also have the habit of summarizing the speech first, because I feel like if I summarize the speech, then only speaker will understand what exactly point I'm trying to make, but I'll try to avoid that in the future. And yes, judging the speaker also, because sometimes what we have this biasness in us that we know already that speaker is really good, and we start with that particular sentence that we already know that he is aced speaker or something like that. So we shouldn't be doing that. We should be evaluating the speech. So this is the two main learnings which I feel I should not be doing.
Okay. Summarize the speech is, you should not talk in detail, in length about it, but you can connect. There's a thin line difference between it. When you use first 30 seconds to 45 seconds to connect with the speaker and speech, that is different from your summarizing. Okay. It's not that you will use entire time to 2 minutes for summarizing. I literally saw people doing that. So that's not what we use. Okay, Shika, you understand? So now Gayatri.
Well, sir, I like two things. First is that we have to evaluate the speech and not the speaker, because I think there is a very thin line. And when we change the same sentences in active and passive, it goes like, if it is in active, then we tend to say things like, you should have done this. Or if we say it in passive, then we can say in a way like, this could be done in this way in the speech. So that goes to speech, and in active it goes to the speaker, is what I've understood. So we should be avoiding that thing, right? And we should be subtly passing our feedback, so that the speaker does not feel like he's being judged, and he actually gets motivated through our feedback. So that is one thing. And another thing is, the structure you said about evaluating, right? First you have to connect with the speaker, then his speech, and then connect yourself with an experience. So I think there also a lot of time the mixture of it happens while giving our evaluation in 2 minutes or so. So yeah, I think that demarcation is very important there.
Thank you. Suneha.
Yes, sir. I would also like to agree with the same, like feedback should be constructive and sometimes should be given to engage with the audience. And also like the specific areas of improvement should be concentrated on where the person can improve like after the speech. So that sort of feedback should be given where the person can improve.
Great. Siddiqui.
Adding to Shikha's point and Gayatri's point that we have to evaluate the speech and not the speaker. I also like this point that you to divide the page into positive and negative, and give the positives and what at one side and the negatives at the one side. So that would be more helpful for us during evaluation.
Great. Anshuman.
Yes, sir. So adding to everyone's point, the one thing which I understood was that while evaluating, we should not give a holistic feedback. Rather than we should, if we are saying that in your speech, this part is what I liked about voice modulation, then I should mention about that particular point, that this was the part where you did good, or this was the part where you did bad. Where you need improvement. So that is the thing which I understood.
Yeah, so that reminds me of a point, Anshuman, great thing that you brought it. You cannot give complete feedback in your 2 to 3 minutes. So the holistic feedback may not be possible. So you can ask the speaker to connect with you after the meeting, if he or she intends to. So you should, you may have 10 good points and then 10 improvement areas, but then just put 3 as with recommended. The next, ask the speaker to connect if they want to see how they are doing. And even in the form, you cannot put more than 2 or 3 sometimes. Okay, be careful and
Yes.
be mindful about it, so that you are in time. For example, if you are going to evaluate someone's speech, if you cross your timing, it doesn't make sense. I've seen people who took 5 minutes, 6 minutes to evaluate someone's speech. So that should not be the way. Ajit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Adding to everyone's point, I would like to say that like being more empathetic will be the most important thing, and like not evaluating the speaker, but evaluating the speech will be the most important thing. Yeah. So these were the 2 learnings from my side.
Great. Ronak.
Sir, I haven't actually ever played the role of evaluator, but if I had, I would have like really made all these mistakes which you have just showed to us. So I think like when I was ever like played the role of table topic master and all, I use that word stage is all yours and all. So I think that's what I where I made the mistake. So that's the improvement point that I got from this session. And one more thing that we are just evaluating the speaker as well. Whenever we telling them that speaker is good and not talking about much about the speech itself. And so next part is like we don't like when we are summarizing the speech, we don't go throughout the structure of the speech. We just pinpoint some of the part of the speech only, and that's where our evaluation revolves around. So that's I like learned from this session that how should we go for structure.
Great, great. Yeah, Ronak. It doesn't matter if you have done evaluation so far, you can start at any point. Just be mindful of what to expect in the speech and how you are dissecting that speech into parts, like the that I have shown the technique. Use that and then put that into a summary and you can submit it. Okay. Next, Sanket. We can't hear you, Sanket. Okay, I'll come back to you later. Narendra. Okay, no problem. So we'll go back. So right now we have heard about the technique that is actually required to evaluate. Let's understand more about the speech evaluation context that happens. Now, how does it happen? Is see the only contest that goes till international level is only international speech contest. Everything else ends at district level. So how does this evaluation contest happen? Is that it starts with club. The winner at club level goes to area level, and from area to division, and division to district. And it all depends upon the district and how many people as a winner from that previous level go to the next level. For example, I've seen in district 120, I think, yeah, 92, sorry, district 92, and then district 41, they allow two people to go from the club to area, from area to division, and division to district. While in our district 98, they allow only one person. So you need to understand that. Okay. And next is what is the eligibility criteria? It's simple that members should be in good standing, and we all understand this terminology that if you paid your dues on time and then you are an active member in the club, then you are eligible. There is no other eligible criteria. So how does it happen is where the contestants are brief about the contest. Next thing is there is a test speaker who gives a speech, and the contestants are expected to hear the speech, take down the notes, and then they are sent to a breakout room. And then when they come back, each person evaluates the speech in their own thing. They don't get to listen what is the way that other person has evaluated. Now, here what you should understand is for this speech, there are no specific objectives. There is only thing that you need to concentrate on is the content and the delivery part. Remember, any speech has three dimensions: content, objectives, and delivery. When you look at in your normal speech, in a contest speech, only content and how they delivered it. So they are expected to give at least 5 to 7 minutes, and you are given a white paper, or in the online content, you can write down on your notepad or somewhere. But once you write down and then you are sent to a breakout room, you do not get to modify that notepad. And you do not actually, now that we are online, we have the access. But in general, when you are in a contest, you are not allowed to use any electronic devices, including your phone, when you listen to the speech. So you're just a piece, just a paper, pen, you go there, you write down, and then you go to a room. The sergeant at arms takes you to a separate room where you are set in aloof, and then you come back and then just write whatever you have notes is handed over to the sergeant at arms, and then they give you back when you're brought back to the main room, and then there you deliver your evaluation. That's how it works. Now, yeah, this is valid discuss. So the judges are anonymous, already, if you have taken a contest, you understand that there will be chief judge and there are set of judges who will be anonymous and then will be evaluating your thing. So evaluation speech is more like content plus delivery, and then an opening where they bring about the audience attention. This is what we discuss about, right? They are able to connect to the speech and also able to bring the audience attention. And the body is where they talk about the speech and then the closing. So now, how do you structure your evaluation? Some people, they use this technique. How many of you feel in the room that this speech is one of the best that you have listened to? And how many people you think that this speaker was able to connect with audience? Somebody gave me, I listened to one speech where he talked about 3 different characters in his speech who were more like the Nirma, Jaya, Vijaya, and other thing. So the thing you can say, how many of you are reminded of the Nirma ad? Somebody said there. Okay, so you should bring audience attention with the opening line. If you remember, we talked about connecting to the speech and speaker when you start your evaluation. So try to do that, but same time try to catch the attention of the audience. The second is your body, where you have your commendations, recommendations, and based upon that, they should be able to take some actions as well. So when you say recommendations, your voice modulation could have been better, or rather, I feel your voice modulation could have been better, especially when you're talking about the death of your relative. You have decreased your voice, and that would have given the accent, right? You could have talked about that there. Now, closing is summary again. What is summary? Talk about little bit about everything. Toastmaster XYZ, I feel today that you have excelled at your body language and the humor that you brought in the speech. You can take it to next level by improving upon the structure of the speech and also ensuring that you use your voice modulation as necessary. Thank you, or to contest share, something like that. So this is where you are closing with a summary. But summary doesn't mean that you will read everything that you're given. You have to just give in 1 or 2 lines summary. It's more the approach that you're using is commendations, recommendation, and summary. Sometimes you can even add a challenge in your summary. I feel, for example, if this is a normal speech in your club, this is a technique that I normally use. Yesterday, when I look at the speech of a person, she was talking more on lines of inspire your audience instead of taking about the Toastmaster mentoring. I told your speech was great in line with inspire your audience from level 3 elective. I would suggest take the credit of the speech to a level 3 project and repeat the speech in line with mentoring. This is a suggestion I gave in the challenge part when it comes to that. So even if you look at your evaluation sheet, it has this, right? Excel at, and then you may want to work upon, and the challenge part. Challenge part is where you're challenging them. So it can be a suggestion, or it can be something that you want them to improve upon. Something if they're doing very good in humor, you can add that. Something you want them to challenge themselves and do better in the next thing, you can do that. Okay. Now coming to opening. So again, we talked about you can You can talk about connecting to audience or connecting to the speaker. The same thing when you can raise, ask the audience. This is a technique that is used by many people. When they use this technique, they connect with audience, also the speaker, and you get to make the speaker feel better. Even the audience try to make their attention towards your evaluation speech. Same thing, even judges start being more attentive to evaluation. Second thing is highlight three most strong points and try to categorize them. Okay, when you're talking, just don't get scattered across. Talk about specifics and talk three more strong points and try to make them category. For example, let us say you're talking about body language, try to put it in one line. If you are trying to talk about the way that the rate of speech went, the rate of speech is the way that this, for example, some say, no, this is what happening, this is going, and you know what, this is happening. This is a rate of speech. Did you understand? No. I'm sure you know, no one understand. But some people do speak so fast, especially we Indians, comparatively to international audience. They feel that our rate of speech is so fast that they cannot understand. So we have to decrease it. So you need to talk about that specific point. Your rate of speech was so fast that I couldn't catch up. I couldn't catch up. Don't generalize. Don't talk. You were said I couldn't. I felt, or maybe this statement can better in the. I felt Toastmaster XYZ that your rate of speech was high. It would have been lower so that I could pay more attention to what you say. You see that point? Second thing is when you put this thing, you give very specific suggestions. Don't just give just like your voice modulation was thing, your content was not structured properly, your body transition. Now, when you talk about transition, what is transition? Is if you talk in the language of a movie, one scene to other scene. So if you have seen good movies, they try to maintain the connectivity. Let me give an example. The stars start shining in the sky. The man is milking the buffalo. A truck is going on the road. I'm walking in the dark. Are they making any sense? Can anybody unmute themselves? Are you able to connect?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No. In this speech, you are not able to connect any parts of this. So now, I was walking in the dark. When I looked in the sky, the stars were shining. When I looked to my right, a man was milking the buffalo. When I looked to my left, there's a truck that was speeding on the road. Now, are you able to see the connection I was able to make? So this is the connection that you should talk about. If you see this disconnect, it might be that their speech might have been written well, but they might have missed those lines there. If that doesn't make sense to you, just write it down and tell I wasn't able to see the connectivity or the transition at this point when you talk about this thing. Be very specific. The more specific you are, the more points you get there. And then use relevant analogy. Okay, when you're talking about something like movies, etc., or any specific thing, to talk about connecting in that part. Okay. And when talk about speech, we talked about this, right? You should be having any speech as a generic and specific purpose. Generic is just there to talk. Specific is, for example, trying to inspire an audience, or trying to be a humorous on the stage, or trying to send a message, trying to connect with the audience, or something like that. This is what we generally see in our daily meetings. This here, try to see what specifically they are trying to talk about. to get that specific purpose. And then when you're giving recommendations, try to see at least give two solid recommendations. It should not be just generic. Improve your eye contact or improve your body language. No, try to be very specific. As I told, these specific recommendations will give you more weightage than others. Demonstrate if necessary. For example, when I talk about this, you can improve your voice modulation or vocal variety when you are talking about the demise of your relative. For example, like this. Today, I'm here to announce the demise of my relative ABC. Something like this. I felt that the title of your speech didn't connect well with your speech. For example, I felt it would have been ABC XYZ, but you gave only PQR. That didn't make sense with the speech. Probably you could consider that in your next attempt. You see, it's very specific, and same time you are trying to give a suggestion how it could have been. Okay, now personalize your language. Don't say you didn't, you failed to. Stop using that language and try to say, I felt that it could have been better. This is more, you're trying to be more empathetic to them. Now, if you are using commendations in the closing, then you can use two wow factors of the speech. Try to use this in your summary, okay? And stress on what you liked about it. And then motivate them. So you can say that I believe that you are going to be one of the finest speaker, then I can help you. I hope my evaluation was able to help you. Or all the best for your next speeches is more generic that you can tell. So you don't have to go to superlatives, but if you think their speech has really made an impact on you, so you can use that part. Now, okay, you understood, did we understand how a contest evaluation works? Can everybody talk just in 15 minutes what they understood so far? 15 seconds. Let's start with Savani and then you can all go one by one.
For contest evaluation.
Yeah, what did you understand about the evaluation contest?
The means in evaluations means the places that where we should focus, like the commendations, that the recommendations, and how to provide feedback to the speeches given by the speakers. So the specific area means where to uh, uh,
No problem. Shika?
So we understood how the contest will happen, and then we understood what exactly three, like opening, body, and closing, are very important. And lastly, we should conclude it by saying all the best for your next speeches. So these are small things that we should be doing in the contest.
Okay. Gayatri, Suneha, just you can go one by one. Give me just one statement. That's it.
Yeah, so I understood like what all things to be evaluated, like the body language, if the purpose is met, and all of those parameters. So how, what exactly is to be evaluated? I understood that.
Suneha,
So we need to talk about specific things and be concise.
Anirudh,
Succinct, specific, motivating, and constructive.
Anshuman,
Sir, I understood about the competition and then how to deliver the evaluation and how to end on a high note by motivating the speaker.
Thank you. Siddiqui.
Yes, sir. I understood that, if we make the evaluation personal, that in my point of view, for me, that will get more points.
Ronak.
Sir, I understood about the opening, body, and closing, and like how can we involve the audience in our evaluation itself, and how can we motivate them to take up the improvement points.
Ajit.
I understood the like how to connect with the audience. Along with this, the nitty-gritties of the contest speaking. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, great. Great. Thank you. So now, when it comes to judges' ballot, you should really understand the weightage of each and every point. First thing is analytical quality. Are you clear and focused on the analysis that you're doing? It carries a weightage of 40 points. Remember, I talked about the clear and concise recommendations. Our recommendations makes they look at that point. It carries the highest weightage there. Now your recommendations, how specific they are, how helpful they are, how positive they are, is the next highest weightage. The techniques that you're using, are they able to motivate people? Are you sympathetic or empathetic towards a speaker? Matters a lot. It is next 15. And your summation is another 15. So many people, they just give the evaluation, they forget to summarize. You should remember that carries a weightage of 15 points, and every point does matter in your contest. Now, analytical quality is whereupon you talk about strength, weaknesses, and offering clear and logical comments. Now, we talked about writing down what you felt about the strengths and what you felt about the weaknesses, and then you write about it, right? So now, are you able to give clear and logical comments on that? Does matter. Okay, so that is your analytical quality that they look at. Now coming to recommendations. When you give recommendation, as I told, I felt you were reading from your speech, and should not read from your speech. You should do this. No, you should give very specific and practical and helpful. Don't judge the speaker again. Be very clear on this. Okay, and whatever value are giving, whatever evaluation you're giving, that should be value to the speaker and audience. Now, as an audience, I should be able to take your evaluation as a takeaway for me. To talk about specific things in their speech that you should be sure that I might be able to take as a takeaway as a speaker, and even the audience might be able to take it. Now, next is the technique. Technique is something more about your delivery. And are you trying to be supportive and inspirational? Your tone matters. Remember, end of day, this is a speech. Whatever you're doing is a speech. So try to deliver that in a proper tone. Toastmaster XYZ, I really loved your speech. I was able to connect well because that's the exact situation I've been through. How many of you felt that this speech is what can you relate with yourself when exactly your name was mispronounced? I have liked it and I've analyzed it, and I will be submitting my report in a CRC methodology. Now, talking about the commendations, blah, 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 recommendation, blah, 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 and commendation. And use voice modulation. Try to be supportive and try to always remember one thing that can do wonders on the stage is your smile. Keep your smile on. And when you're talking about, use your fingers to show the numbers. And then try to be empathetic and sympathetic. More than sympathy, maybe empathetic, as if you're being in their position and what would you expect. Trust me, that works every time. Now your summary. How effective was your conclusion or summary? The summary in your speech is as important as your summary in evaluation. So always remember to summarize your speech in evaluation. Now it's time for our demo contest. So remember what all we talked about today. One thing is you are evaluating the speech and not the speaker. Second thing is when be very specific when you give commendations and recommendations. Third thing is be empathetic and try to relive their moment and try to give that feedback which helps them, not just which makes your ego satisfied. And it's not a place to take revenge because we have taken an oath to help our fellow Toastmasters to grow, not to just put them down. Remember these 3 points, and I'm sure you will excel at that. Okay, so are we good now? So are we good to start our contest? We'll have a mock contest where a speaker will deliver a speech. I also don't know who is the speaker today. So they will deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech. You will note down your points. Then you will be sent to a breakout room. Shika, can you help with the breakout room? So you will be sent there. After you write down you get 5 minutes. You will do exactly what happens in a contest to give you feel of a contest. So you will move to that the breakout room, and then one by one will be sent here, and you will be delivering your evaluation. Okay. Wonderful.
Sir, okay, test speaker is ready, and we need how many volunteers for evaluation? 2 to 3, right?
Yeah, whoever wants, maybe
Yeah.
we can have 3.
So
do you want,
yes,
do you
sir.
want to do more? If somebody
No,
else also wants to, let's try to accommodate.
3 is fine, I think. So Toastmasters, we need 3 volunteers who will be evaluating the test speaker speech. So could you please nominate yourself? Otherwise, I'll take random 3 names and then you'll have to evaluate.
See, one thing I'll tell you. Always, if you want to grow as a Toastmaster, as a public speaker, be the first one to raise your hand. Next time doesn't come. The way that you choose your love or maybe a boyfriend, girlfriend, sometimes you always rush, right? Same thing it is here, public speaking. You should love it. If you don't stand first, if you don't choose it now, if you think that the untable topics, I'll go next, maybe let him go. That next time doesn't come. You will lose that opportunity, that meeting, because next time, next, somebody takes up, sometimes in the interest of time, they might close. So what happens is next time you will try to, but here, if you don't experience this, next time you will not get the chance. What you have to remember in Toastmasters is you are not judged. You're only given opportunity to improve, and you're told how you can improve.
So, sir, we've got 3 volunteers: Toastmaster Suneha, Toastmaster Anshuman, and Toastmaster Ronak. They will evaluate.
As we will not have any sergeant at arms, try to make 3 breakout rooms and send each one to 1 breakout room. Okay, the next, first let us have a speech, and then they will get 5 minutes, and after that they will be sent to breakout room. Is that fine? Okay, great.
So test speaker, Gayatri.
Yeah, so for today, we have our test speaker, our very favorite speaker of the club, Toastmaster Siddiqui. So before he starts presenting his speech, I would like to introduce him to everybody. So Siddiqui is a mechanical engineer and he has worked with TCS before joining SIOM and the club. He has received awards and appreciations during his term in TCS. He is a magician, tabla player, and loves to play badminton and volleyball. He joined Toastmasters to improve his communications and leadership skills. I think this is a a very good introduction. We know him already. So I think Siddiqui, you can go ahead with your speech.
Thank you so much, Gayatri, for the wonderful introduction. So, good morning, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. You guys might not be aware, but my pathway is persuasive influence. So today I want to share my motto behind choosing that pathway I chose in my journey in Toastmasters. So I remember right after one of the Toastmasters meetings, it stuck to me that I have not chosen my pathway. So I was sitting with Shikha over a Teams call to select a pathway, and I don't know if she has noticed or not, but the moment I saw that there is a pathway in the name persuasive influence, I selected that and I clicked continue immediately. So the word influence means that much to me. It is that close to me that it has always helped me to grow in life. So precisely, if I would say, there are 3 important lessons in my life, and I can't wait to share with you what those important lessons are. So they are perspective, influence, and beliefs. So perspective, in my opinion, doesn't have a meaning until and unless it is compared to what it can provide, I would say. So perspective has a power in itself rather than having a special meaning, according to me. So today I just want to talk about only one thing, that is influence, and less about the other 2 lessons. So let us just start with a small example. I want everyone to participate in this. Do not unmute yourself, but just think. Think of a higher number from 1 to 10, and do not think of 5. So if you have thought of the number 7, then I was successful in influencing you. Knowing the same thing, if I ask you to think of a lower number from 1 to 10 and not 5, and if the first number that pops into your head is 3, then bingo, I've influenced you again in choosing into choosing what I wanted you to choose. But I believe being influenced by magicians is fun and entertaining, hopefully. But you see, a negative person, when they open a door and walk into your life, your home, your office, do they have to say anything to affect the way we feel? Yet they affect the way we feel, right? The way we think, the way we operate, and the way we ultimately live. Not only I got rid of all these negative people in my life who continuously told me could not be done, then that my life changed. My mentor, my teacher, from whom I'm constantly in touch with, said to me, now since you know the power of influence, people every single day, every single second are influencing your life. So this is why my next statement would be true for me, that you are the direct reflection of the top 5 people that you spend time with. That is who you are. If ever for a second we lose sight of what we are, and if we want to know, then we just have to take the top 5 people, line them up, and that is us. That is who we are. What happens is, when my mentor shared with me as well, Siddiq, there will be a time in your life where where you won't feel inspired. You wake up and you won't feel motivated. You wake up and you will not feel the same sense of growth or progress. And when that happens, Siddiq, don't be alarmed. Don't be afraid. Just remember what I say now. What happens? When that happens, you have successfully become the average of the top 5 people you have spent time with. That's all. She was right. That happened. There was a morning when I woke up and I no longer felt motivated in what I did. But I knew this lesson. I changed one person in my life I'm spending time with. So every single time if I get this feeling, I brought in somebody in my life that gave me a spark, like a spark that lights a fire. Bring people into your life that immensely inspire you, immensely motivate you, or have a skill set that you do not have and you wish to acquire. So because having them in your top 5, they will influence you in such a way that you cannot even understand. So I do this all the time in my life, and I'll share one short story that is currently happening. So there is one person in my life currently, one of the seniors, I would say, who has earned huge respect for his or her multi-talented personality, speaking skills, persuasive skills, time management skills. When I was selected into one of the committees, I met this person with all the skills that completely blew my mind. I decided that day that I should befriend her. I would add that person to my list of top 5 people with whom I would be spending time with. In this process, I have learned so many things that from that person, and I believe that there is much more to learn. This person started changing my life. This person not only changed my attributes, but also changed my values and beliefs as well. So I want to reiterate the same thing again and again. My mentor had told me, you are the direct reflection of the top 5 people you spend time with. You get to choose who you want to become in future. You get to choose by choosing who you spend time with today. It is completely our choice. It is completely your choice. So this is where influence, the word influence, comes together. So if you know that beliefs determine your actions, where does beliefs come from? From these top 5 people you spend time with. So what does that mean? That means if you change the top 5 people, it changes your beliefs. It changes your beliefs about what you know about what is possible. It changes your perspective, therefore changes your actions, therefore changes your life. So nevertheless, always remember, I've always spoken about changing the people you spend time with, and only cutting out negative people in your life and not cutting out your friends. So on this note, I want to end the speech by saying, choose the right, let them influence you, so that they would influence you to have a better future. So that's it. Thank you from my end. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Siddiqui.
Sika, can you time 5 minutes for people to take down the nets?
So the time for his speech was 6 minutes 30 seconds.
Okay, great. It's 11:15. Take 5 minutes till 11:20. And then you can write down your notes. Just keep your videos on.
Sir, should I move them into breakout rooms?
No, not now. Not after 5 minutes, we'll move that.
Hello, sir.
Okay, it's time you can move them to the breakout rooms.
So, sir, we have like 3 evaluators. So, should I move 2 of them into breakout room and 1 will stay here and deliver the evaluation speech?
Right.
So, Toastmaster Anshuman, you will be here, and I'm moving Toastmaster Suneha and Toastmaster Ronak into the breakout room. Okay. Did you get notifications? Yeah.
Okay, can I get the names of the contestants first of all?
Okay, we are starting with Toastmaster Anshuman right now.
And what were the names of others?
Toastmaster Ronak and Toastmaster Suneha.
One, let me note down. Okay, the way that they call in the contest is contestant number 1, Toastmaster Anshuman. Contestant number 1, Toastmaster Anshuman. You can start your evaluation.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to beg your pardon for the background noise. Siddiqui, so you delivered, Toastmaster Siddiqui, you delivered a speech today. So your speech depicted your journey, most importantly, your learnings from the people around you, right? Talking about more about your speech, I like the fact that you had a continuous eye contact through your speech and also involved the audience to think during a speech. Now the speech was constructed very nicely and it had a flow to it. Like specifically the part that your relation of your Toastmaster pathway, your choice to that, to the lesson which you got from your teacher. Now you related that in a nice way. So that flow is what I personally liked. There were no abrupt pauses throughout the speech, and the speed and the grammar which you were using throughout the speech was also apt. Now, next, you talked about your personal experience in the speech, which was more involving to the audience as it has different tastes to it. Now, a few points which I would like you to work upon is that you were using the hands throughout your speech, which is good, but sometimes your hands were covering your face. So that was a problem. So if you could just work upon that, it would be really nice because body language is an important thing. So just work upon that. And also there was at some point there were knuckling which was going on in the hand gesture as well. So if you can prevent that, so that would also be great. Overall, you talked about the influence and you talked about your journey till the Toastmasters. So I think overall the content was good, the grammar was good, the speech was good. Just a small 2 points which I mentioned. If you could just work upon that, then you are very good to go. So yes, I would conclude on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anshuman. We'll wait for 30 seconds. Normally in contest, we wait for 1 minute, but here we'll wait for 30 seconds. You can move the other 12 later, Shika.
Yes.
Yeah. Contestant number 1, number 2, sorry. Contestant number 2, Toastmaster Ronak. Toastmaster Ronak, contestant number 2.
Thank you, Toastmaster Raghu and Toastmaster Siddiqui. Actually, first of all, I would like to involve our audience because I have some question. How many of you can still hear the word influence in your mind? I just want hand raises. Toastmaster Siddiqui, you really met the purpose of your justifying your topic. I feel that message was really felt to our heart. Well, in recommendation, I would like to say that you really tried the voice modulation, and we really liked it. But if you could have emphasized more on the certain words, then you would have really nailed it. And what I personally feel is the wow factor that that I really got is that the quote which you mentioned, that you are the reflection of 5 people with whom you meet. Now, I believe that you will achieve this voice modulation as you are trying right now. You will achieve this 100% by the next speech. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's observe 30 seconds. Tika, move the next contestant.
So what's the time limit, sir? For that?
The timing is 2 to 3 minutes, but yeah, we consider this as a learning for the fine. Okay.
Should I start?
1 minute. Great. Contestant number 3, Suneha. Suneha, contestant number 3.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll go ahead with Siddiqui's evaluation. So I believe his topic had several quotes regarding the theme, and it had excellent voice modulation as well in order to engage the audience. It invoked thinking when he used different numbers in his speech, and the quotes which he used, for example, that the top 5% are going to influence your life. It helped us to understand the topic in a better way, and the importance that influence can have in one's life. So it became more clear to us, and I believe there were no grammatical errors, and not many filler words were used also in his speech. Although I believe it could be better if he didn't use the word so many times while he was delivering his speech, and a few more pauses could be avoided as well. So as for the delivery and construction of the speech, it was really good, and it was really good. So that's it about the evaluation.
Thank you, Suneha.
Thank you, Suneha. Okay, I purposely put Siddiqui on the highlight because wanted to see how he feels. You must understand how the speaker really gets to know. Now, let's look at this. When you're trying to talk, don't use these statements, I'm going to evaluate or I'm going to talk about this thing, because try to be very natural. When I was in engineering, I used to have a physics lecture. While every other lecture just started and the topic, this person used to enter, crack a joke, and just naturally move into the subject. When even if he complained that he didn't want to have a class, though he was friendly, he used to not push us, but just crack a joke and then slowly move into the subject, and we didn't even realize then. So this is something that you need to follow. Giving a speech or evaluation, try to not to talk about, I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to say something. Go natural. Example, if I have to start, I will say, Toastmaster Siddiqui, what a great speech. Don't say that I'm going to evaluate. Understand? Okay. I'll give very specific feedback and I will not try to put it more detailed. Now, Toastmaster Anshuman, you bought the recommendations in the opening line. That is not expected. When we talk about connecting, just connect. Now don't go over details. Okay. And I love the part when you mentioned personal experience and no abrupt pauses. That was great. But then try to put those in pointers. 1, 2, 3, we talked about. When you put this as numbers, it is effective. So when you are talking about commendations, say that you're talking about commendations. 1, 2, 3. Then go to recommendations. Don't just muffle up and down. It mixes up the feedback. Next time, I think I like this part where you said your hands guesses were good, but they were covering your face sometimes. That was great. That was very specific feedback. Summarize. You have to summarize in a better way. Good. Summarize. Good. I really love the part that you're talking about influence, and then you use good body language, and you can do better by ensuring that your hand gestures don't cover your face or something like that. Okay, great. Now, coming to the next person.
Thank you, sir.
Now, next coming to Ronak. Ronak, I love the part that you attempted getting the attention of people here. It's a great thing. And then you just try to tell this thing that she's met surprise, your message was felt to her. The two things here. One is this is something that has to come in the summary, met the purpose. Second thing is grammar. So this you might not feel good about it because we all don't feel good about when somebody talks about our grammar, because English is not our first language, irrespective of that. We study English in a school, college. It's not our mother tongue. So when there are something that you can write or practice well, so that might be something that you might work upon. And then when you're giving recommendation, it is not like that, whoa, you're doing so great, but then like you are having this problem. No, it works only in your discussion with your boss or maybe with your professors, but not here. Try to tell specific things. Don't say that your voice modulation was great, but then emphasis on certain words was missing. Say that I felt today that if you could emphasize on certain words, that would have made your speech better or taken your speech to next level. But I loved this feedback. It's not something that everybody gets to that. You mentioned that I like the course, and I also believe that you can achieve voice modulation. So easy something you're trying to contradict what you told in the next previous statement. Okay, so you need to talk for minimum 2 minutes, or rather in contest they allow up to 1.5 minutes. You need to maintain that time. Remember well that you cannot just go in between. As I told, write down that this needs more practice. One thing you remember, anything that you want to improve on, Toastmasters needs a lot of practice, especially when it comes to table topic and evaluation. You need to put a lot of efforts in practicing. So for practice, whenever you have time and you find with a club that is having a meeting, they have a role, go there, take the role and try to practice that how it helps. Okay. And then coming to Suneha. Suneha, I love the fact that you talked about numbers, scores, and also the top 5 that you pointed out. And you talked about the delivery and the construction of the speech was good. Okay. Then one thing I would say is try to talk more specific things and recommendations and also try to summarize. Okay. So now these are my observations from his speech. Okay. Toastmaster Siddiqui. I will not try to structure my evaluation, but what I would talk about is I have seen many Toastmasters in my life who choose pathway just randomly. You are the person that I saw who was very specifically who was very specific to in choosing pathway based upon the word influence. My first pathway was persuasive influence, and I love my journey on that. Toastmaster Siddiqui. Today, I will evaluate your speech based upon commentations, recommendations, and summarize my speech. Summarize my evaluation. Now, coming to your speech, I really love the fact that you brought your personal anecdote. First, connecting it with Toastmasters, how you choose that persuasive influence. Next, you talked about how your mentor told you the way that influence makes a lot of difference. Top 5. Actually, I was able to connect back to my life where I pushed negative people from my life and felt that that has helped me to be the person that I am today. I loved your choice of words. It was so great that it enhanced the beauty of your speech. And your voice modulation, your hand gestures was great. Now, any speech can be better, and here I am with my recommendations. First, I felt your rate of speech was fast. I had to be very attentive to hear your speech. So you can work upon that by decreasing your rate of speech. A little bit of practice and try to comfort yourself before the speech can make it better. Next, I felt your eye contact was not up to the mark. When you want to make an eye contact, look into the camera. If you are standing up and giving, try to make it up to the level. You can use a stool or any support. That way, you can ensure that your eye contact is good. Next, I felt the conclusion was not strong enough. How you could have concluded is summarizing what all you felt and how can I, as a person, as an audience, can pick up those top 5 and get rid of that negative person who is affecting my life. Overall, I felt this is a great story and inspiration, and you are certainly an inspirational speaker in making. To get better, just improve your eye contact, your rate of speech, and try to conclude your speeches so that we all get a message that we need. Thank you. Over to you. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So great. Thank you for that. Let us try to take a 5-minute break. So we almost took up 1.5 hours. So, Shika, do you want to continue the humorous part today, or do you want to do another day?
Just a second, sir. Okay, sir. So maybe next Sunday we can do humorous speech.
Great. So we'll meet on next Sunday, which will be our 19th. Okay. So great job,
Sir,
everybody.
regarding
Yes.
regarding the timing for 19th, we will connect once and finalize. Okay.
Sure, no problem. We'll do that. So to summarize what we learned today is that approach that we are going to evaluate our speech. You can use CRC, which is commendations, recommendations, and commendation, which is a what you call about sandwich approach. We are trying to put recommendation between and ensuring that the speaker feels good about it. Our goal is to make the speaker feel better. Second thing is when you're giving the recommendations, be very specific. How can you be specific is active listening. Third thing is ensure that you are summarizing your evaluation in the contest that has 15 points, and that makes a lot of difference in the contest. And now, to make your evaluation better, try to start with a powerful opening, just like your speeches. You may connect with the audience, you may connect with the speaker, or just connect with the speech with your personal story. Use the exact elements that you will make your speech better. Voice modulation, hand gestures, or your body language, or eye contact. Sometimes it does make a difference if you stand up and give that. And ensure to make an eye contact. How you do it, look into the camera. Okay, that's how you can make it online. Next, ensure that your body is properly structured with at least 3 commendations and at least 2 recommendations. And as I told, be very specific. Same time, try to tell them how can they improve upon that when you're giving recommendations. When I say your eye contact can be improved, I felt that your eye contact can be improved, I should tell how can they improve. Look into the camera or position your laptop or phone so that you are able to make the eye contact. Always use personalize. Don't make statements. You are standing, you are reading. No, you must say, I felt that you can stand and view. That's your personal opinion only. You are not a professor. You are not the boss of the game. You are only here to make your statements. You are not going to talk for the audience or for anyone. Okay. So always remember to make the speech so that you are personalizing your statements. No state. Even you are not making statements on anybody's behalf. So I wish you all the best for the evaluation that you will do in your clubs or in the contest. I hope that one of you becomes a district champion. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.